Welcome, everybody. We are so glad that you're here and that you're bearing with all of our great technology we have for you here at Top Rated Seller Webinars. I welcome you back again to hear today from Mr. John Lawson, also known as Colder Ice Media. Today we're going to hear about fast forward social commerce. It's not about likes, it's about sales. Way to go, John. I love that title. Little housekeeping. We always have to cover this. Everyone wants to know if the webinar is being recorded. Yes, we are recording it. If you were here earlier, you saw me push all the buttons to get that going. And we will be putting the recording on our YouTube channel and also on the pagemage.com site on the Top Rated Seller Webinars portion of the site. We will also be getting a copy of John's slides, and we'll put those with the video so that you can download those as a PDF. You can find those also on the PageMage site. If you're having audio problems on your computer, we recommend that you try calling in. There is a call-in number with a pin right there on your control panel. If your phone is giving you problems and you're having trouble hearing, the only advice we have is to hang up and try it again, because sometimes a new line will help. We really want to make sure you stay connected to the Top Rated Seller webinars. We have a lot to offer, a lot of free education, and we want to make sure you hear about it all. Make sure you are signed up for our newsletter. That's on pagemage.com/Top Rated Seller Webinars. We have newsletters going out to let you know about all the webinars. They also contain selling tips and seller advice. Stay connected with us. The next best way to stay connected is our active Facebook group. We are up to 1,400 sellers, and you can find that at facebook.com/groups/TRS webinars. We love all our tweeters, or our twits. I'm not sure how we should say that. If you're with us on Twitter, please stay engaged in the conversation by using hashtag TRSW for Top Rated Seller Webinars. We'd like to thank our sponsors at this time, because without our sponsors, none of this would get done and you wouldn't be listening to John Lawson today. So thank you so much to Social Beacon. Social Beacon allows marketplace sellers to promote their items across social networks and make sure they're promoting their items, not everyone else's. We are also sponsored by Stamps.com. If you're not using Stamps.com, why not? No more standing in line at the post office. You have postage from your PC. Check out Stamps.com. We are also sponsored by eBay Radio, where you've got the griff. Check out eBay Radio at ebayradio.com. They're live every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Our next sponsor is Cabbage. Everyone needs a little cabbage in their business. With Cabbage, you can get $500 up to $50,000, and I heard they're going higher. Takes 7 minutes, easy as a few clicks. Check out Cabbage.com. We are also sponsored by GoDaddy Online Bookkeeping. You may know them as Outright.com. This is putting your accounting on autopilot. Go beyond the spreadsheet with GoDaddy Online Bookkeeping. And we also are sponsored by Terapeak, because Terapeakers make more money. And Terapeak is not just for eBay anymore. Check out Terapeak for Amazon at Terapeak.com. Don't forget to thank our connectors. Kat Simpson of That Cat, that's me. I accept chocolate and small children as payment. You can also thank our connector solutions for e-commerce, Karen Locker, the spreadsheet wizard. And don't forget our next webinar, It's Okay to Cheat on eBay with Amazon. I'm going to be your presenter on that one, and you don't want to miss it. We all agree that being a multi-channel seller is a matter of survival for e-commerce sellers lately. For eBay sellers, adding Amazon fulfillment to your world is a smart addition. Join us and bring your questions. We want to talk about this huge opportunity on April 23rd. If you want to make sure you know about it, be sure you're on our newsletter, pagemage.com/Top Rated Seller Webinars. And I'm ready to give this control over to John Lawson, our presenter for today. Karen, can you give that over to John?
Kick-ass social commerce, how to engage and wow your fans. And one of the ways is to kind of know what your presentation is going to do, but I didn't do that. So you're probably not wowed. You're probably just like, wow, you can't make his slides advance. But at any rate, let me just give you a little bit of background on me. You know, I've been doing eBay, for a few years now. The first thing I ever sold, however, on eBay was a pair of Elton John tickets. And I had bought these tickets to go see Elton in New York City. So, cool. So
All right,
can you
I'm
see the
muting.
screen?
We can. We're
All
all
right.
good again.
Everybody's muted. Fantastic. We're going to try this one more time, guys. So yeah, I said the first thing I saw was Elton John tickets. All right, fine. You got that part. No biggie. All right. Look, the stuff I'm going to be sharing today comes from a new book that I just had published for us, and it's called Kick-Ass Social Commerce for Epreneurs. So it's really written from the perspective of a person that's in the trenches doing the work just like you are doing the work. And it's written without a lot of, technical jargon. That's kind of my forte. I don't like tech jargon, so I don't use it that often because I don't think there's a whole lot of need for it. This, of course, this section is sponsored by Bluetooth, and that's the new version of the Bluetooth anyway. Haha. I'm sure you're laughing your head off because you're doing the pot thing. All right, anyway, look, guys. So let's just talk about this. I know the darling of the decade, or at least for the last year and a half, in e-commerce has been Pinterest. And everybody last year was on Pinterest, Pinterest this and Pinterest that. Are you pinning? Can you pin me? And all that kind of good stuff. The thing is, what I think people miss is that if it wasn't for Facebook, you wouldn't even know about Pinterest. The reason why Pinterest had such a interesting adoption rate was not just because it was pictures and all those easy things about it, but it was actually part of Facebook. They were one of the first platforms to launch themselves on top of Facebook. So when you pin things inside of Pinterest, it would show up in the Facebook thread. It doesn't happen as often now as Facebook has changed that algorithm, but it was a real good integration with the Facebook channel, and people started signing up in droves. However, if you look at this chart, you see that Facebook has over 1 billion users, and if you look all the way to the right, Pinterest is at 48 million. And really, right now, Facebook is past 1 billion. It's at 1.3 billion right now. So when we're talking about social media, social markets, when you look at the Facebook compared to the next biggest thing, which is Google Plus, and I'm sure a lot of you use Google Plus or at least know about it because they opt you into it automatically. So that's why they've got 343 million people, and many of us don't even use it yet. But it's still, when you look at it, Facebook is nearly 4 times bigger than the next closest competitor. 4 times larger than the next closest competitor. So all things given, apples to apples, it's not even close when you're talking about how you're going to spread your message to your customers and potential customers. So what I want to do is focus in on Facebook a little bit, because this is such a large entity that if you get it right on Facebook, you can take it and push it over to the Google Plus, the LinkedIns, the Twitters, and it'll make sense. Of course, each channel is different, but I'm one of those people that I like to go where, the big pond is and catch some little fish, maybe sometimes, than to be the big fish in the little pond. But that's just me. But no matter what we deal with today, it will work for all the actual sites. So let's just give you a couple of really cool figures, all right? 1.3 billion users worldwide. That's what I just said about Facebook. It has about 747 million users that log in daily. That's not, something to sneeze at. That's a whole lot of people, and they log in every day. And the number of people, or the people visit when they go on, stay for about 20 minutes on average. That's a very long time of engagement for any social platform. So 20 minutes, and you're talking about 700 million plus people. The average percentage of seniors on Facebook, and this is a very interesting stat, is that 45% of seniors over the age of 65 actually are using Facebook. And you compare that to 60% or 66% of millennials are actually using Facebook. So, you hear all these things. It's like, oh, well, the young people are not using Facebook. Okay, yeah, maybe what? 34% of them are not using it? Okay, I get that. Yes. Maybe 35% might not be using them tomorrow. But still, a large percentage of people are on Facebook, and you really can't ignore this channel. Each individual person on Facebook, on average, has a reach of about 147 other friends that are following them on Facebook and what they have to say. So you figure it like this. If you think about, the I tell a friend, you tell a friend, and so on and so on. If you reach one person, you have the ability to possibly reach that network of that person, which includes 147 other people. And if you reach that, 147, you might reach one more, and so on and so on. Great numbers. So let's look at how we got here. The social adoption curve. Who were the early marketers for social commerce, really? Who were the first brands that were on here and started taking this platform seriously? And if you look, you got people like Dell, who, I was talking about Dell way back in 2009 and what they were doing on social media when they were selling computers and doing support literally on Twitter. Southwest Airlines, one of the reasons why Southwest Airlines is one of our #1 carriers is customer service and customer affinity. And they help build that with social platforms. And of course, Zappos. Zappos was one of the early adopters when it came to serious e-commerce. That e-commerce experience that Zappos provided really led to them getting bought by the biggest e-commerce player in the space, Amazon. But before that, they were making a lot of noise simply in social media. But something really happened somewhere in there around 2010, 2009, 2010, where this guy, Ashton Kutcher, was in a race, basically, with CNN. And it was a race to see who would be the first person on Twitter with 1 million followers. And Ashton got into this race with CNN, and it started making news. CNN talked about it, but they weren't really in the race. He just was in the race. They were just doing what they always do. But he ended up winning that race, and he got on to Oprah Winfrey. And that was a big crossing of the chasm because, from the days when Oprah had her daily TV show, anything that went on Oprah Winfrey pretty much got an instant, following, as it were, in the greater space of the universe of people. Oprah's reach has been unprecedented by any other person in media. So once he got on that show, he talked Oprah into actually, joining Twitter. So what took Ashton months, nearly a year and a half, to do in terms of getting a following of 1 million people, and he ended up beating CNN, it took Oprah exactly a week. Oprah went on to Twitter, signed up the next day after Ashton was on the show. She tweeted out one tweet. It was like, "This is my first tweet, haha," and signed the big O. And literally, people started following her in droves. And these were people that had no following on Twitter before at all. So they were logging in to or creating accounts on Twitter just to be able to follow Oprah on this new thing that they had never heard of because of this one show. So that really is how we crossed the chasm, and social became part of our daily lexicon. So now the adoption of social is so vast that I'm noticing, The Voice, when it first came on, it embraced social, not as deeply as it does today. But it's now the #1 show, and at the time, when it first came on, it wasn't even close to #1. Now it's beating American Idol so bad that American Idol is starting to take that card from The Voice, and now you can actually vote for American Idol people on Twitter and on Facebook, on social media. So the rapid integration of social for all things, especially network TV, is absolutely moving things forward very, very quickly. And of course, you and I don't want to be late to this party. And you're not going to be late to this party. You, as a social commerce person, are very early in the game. Very early, believe it or not. But, I know you hear it everywhere, but this is still very early for us to get in and, adopt some of the new fun things that are going on. That's a picture of a baby. Guess what he just did? I got to keep it light because, I'm sitting here by myself trying to see if you guys are hearing me. Here we go. Okay. So look at the social commerce factor. What's driving social to be so ubiquitous with communications? And this is the thing, man. Social media is available everywhere. It's on every device you own, okay? Now, most applications are not able to be on every device you own, but social media literally is everywhere. But the key thing is that as mobile moves forward, as that cell phone and those iPads and those, other pads start moving more and more, people are getting more and more used to logging into their social platforms. But not only that, here's what's really happened that's propelling social is that the technology of mobile is getting cheaper and cheaper. And when that technology now is so cheap, it's getting third world countries and the non-tech savvy people are starting to get online. And that is what's really driving mobile, because we're putting the power of computing in the hands of more people than ever. And this is driving the marketplaces like Amazon and eBay, because more and more people are able to get online without having to go and spend hundreds of dollars on a laptop or a desktop computer. We are getting mobile devices for a fraction of the cost. I mean, the other day I just ordered a cell phone. I do a lot of international traveling, and this is just kind of off the tip. But, I mean, it was amazing because when I go to these countries, I need to have a phone, because you never have a phone. Well, I found a phone that you can put the card in when you're in that country. You buy the card for like $30. You put it in, and now you have cell service, on a pay-per, use method. And I was like, cool. The phone itself is some cheap phone, and it cost me $30. $30 for a mobile phone that will get me on the internet in any country that I'm going to. That's how cheap mobile is becoming, and the phone itself has more power than the first iPhone. So, I mean, you just feel, it's amazing what you can get today for, the price of a decent steak. You can get technology that is faster than it ever was on your laptop. So this is crazy what's going on. And if you take a look at this picture, this is 2005. This is the last time that we, second to last time that we had a pope change. So this is pope change 2005. And when that pope came into office, or whatever you call it, I don't know. I'm not, the office, the pope defying, the pope crown, I don't know. But this was 2005 when he was sworn in. Do they swear in, use the Bible kind of thing? I don't know. But yeah, so here's the deal though. If you look at this picture and you compare it to the Pope being sworn in the last time in 2013, you see something pretty unique and amazing. The fact is, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what is driving social. It's what's driving e-commerce. It's the fact that everybody now has a computer in their pocket. And the technology is moving so fast. If you just look, this one person actually had a phone and was taking that photo from his phone in 2005. But in 2013, everybody, the masses, has a phone, and the technology is moving forward so quickly that you can actually see the the Vatican, the Pope Palace, what I like to call it, the Pope Palace, is you can see that on that picture if I just blew it up. So I mean the resolution of the technology that we're having is moving so fast, so fast. Matter of fact, what you have in your pocket today or on your lap today as a pad or a phone will literally in 5 years will look like a brick. You'll laugh at what you're using right now. I mean, because it's moving so quickly. So this guy, Mark Zuckerberg, since we're on the Facebook tip, he actually said if he had to guess, social commerce would be the next thing to blow up. And he said this statement back in 2010, and literally, once he said that, people got it. They went to Google and started looking up the actual term that he had made up, social commerce. Nobody really had said it before. Nobody of stature had said it like that. And all of a sudden, a word that had no traffic started trending upwards. And that's Google Trends showing you that graph. I will mention that a little bit later as one of the tools you can use for really engaging customers. All right? But once that was done, we started losing our minds, man. In the last 2 years, it's been crazy. I mean, we are so like, can you become our friend? Can you follow us? Can you like my page? Will you pin this? You know, it's all over. Everywhere people are trying to get engaged with customers. And that's what we did. We kind of lost our minds, man. We were like, we got to get in. We got to do this. And unfortunately, what has ended up happening is that we're not necessarily seeing the results we thought we would see. So we've got our fan page up maybe. We've got our Twitter page up. We're pushing the little tweet button on our eBay ads, and we're pinning them, and you know, and all we're really kind of doing is pissing a lot of people off. That's kind of what's happening, because what you're doing now is you're just making so much noise that people start to ignore you. You know, I mean, it's like a baby. If a baby just keeps whining and whining, and you know the diaper is not, there's nothing wrong with the diaper, and you just fed them. It's like, look, okay, I just got to ignore him until he stops crying because he's going to go to sleep. And that's what people are doing. They're ignoring our brands because we have annoyed the hell out of them with, let me pin this, let me post that every time I've got something new. You're not telling them anything. You're not adding any value to their life. You're just trying to scrape at the bottom of the barrel and trying to get somebody to look at your stuff. So, hey, I'm here to help you out. I want to help you understand what social media really is all about. Because here's what's happened, guys, is we've got this word social, and we've used it so much that we've kind of twisted it. So we think social media is the same as social marketing, the same as social networking, same as social commerce. People are starting to use these words interchangeably, and so much, in fact, that you really can't differentiate what the differences are, and the difference between them all is very, very significant. If you go back to, grade school mathematics, if you wanted to add two fractions, the first thing you had to do was get the common denominator. You know, you remember, I know I'm probably pushing you way back. Some of you are not math whiz. That's okay. I'm not going to make you do the math. I'm going to help you with the math. So what we first have to do to understand this world of social is we have to find the common denominator, and that common denominator is social. And once you find the common denominator, when you're doing fractions, all you have to do is remove the common denominator and just add the numerator, the number on top, and all of a sudden you've got the answer. So if we take off that common denominator and we just leave what's left over, now we understand the meaning of the word. So we get that media is not the same as marketing, and marketing is not even close to the same thing as networking. And of course, networking and commerce are not even in the same ballpark. So I don't want you guys to get, kind of misrepresented by the word social and start using these terms interchangeably because they are vastly different in their own meanings. So to get started and to really get a good grip on this, you have to have a good firm foundation. And that's what I'm going to go over with you in the next few slides, the next few minutes that we have together. I want to give you a good firm foundation, because if you build your house on sand, you know the rest of that, it will sink. It will not stand. You have to have a firm foundation. So the reason why we're not getting the results that we want is because we've built our house on sand. And I mean, you know, every other day, I'm not even going to say every other day, I'm going to say every other hour, I get a social media expert sending me something in my email telling me that they know how to get more followers, friends, likes, pins, whatever the hell you want. You know, matter of fact, everybody all of a sudden now is a social media expert. I don't know how you can even become a social media expert since it's only been out for about 5 years. How can you be the expert? There's no way. You know, here's the deal. Social is like clay. And with clay, you can't be the expert of clay molding. You might be the expert of making a vase. You know, okay, well, I can make a vase, but somebody else is making a head sculpture. Just because you know how to make a vase doesn't mean you know how to make a head sculpture. So the deal is you have to think about this. Once you know how to work with the clay, then you can mold it into things you want. And that's the firm foundation we're going to work with today. So now I'm going to give you the EDGE formula. All right? Here it is. I know it looks kind of mathematical, right? Yeah, it is mathematical. What this is the EDGE rank formula that Mark Zuckerberg, who we just showed, the founder of Facebook, gave out to the developer community. And they said, this is how we determine what people will see inside of their Facebook feed. All right? This is the secret sauce. This is the formula. Now, in the last iteration of developer conferences, they've gone deeper and deeper with this EDGE rank to the point now he says, you know, we've moved past that. You know, we've done so many other things. We have 100,000 different factors about whether blah, 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 right? Well, one of the things he's trying to do is like, look, I gave you the secret sauce. Now I want to tell you the secret sauce doesn't work, but the secret sauce is still actually working, because the basis of this sauce is the foundation of how to interact with people on social platforms. So let's break it on down. There's 3 parts to this. There's the user affinity score, there's the weight score, and the time decay score. So that's what the U, W, and D are for. User, weight, and decay. All right? The E is the edge. And the reason why it's called the EDGE rank is because an edge is an interaction on Facebook. That's just what they call interactions on Facebook. All right? We call a customer, when it comes in and they buy from us, we call that a transaction. All right? They call what goes on Facebook, whether it's a like or a share or, you know, a post, they call it an edge. All right? And that's why this is the EDGE rank formula. So let's break it on down. Let's start with user affinity score. And user affinity score really is how connected a particular user is to the edge. So now if you look at diagrams, a lot of diagrams, if somebody is diagramming what social media is, they'll give you this, you know, easy, simple kind of understanding. It's like, I have a friend and that friend has friends and we're all connected in this social space. Well, that's a very elementary way of thinking about it. The way Facebook actually thinks about it is a lot deeper. They understand that if you look at the center, let's say that person in the center is you, right there in the pink. There are people that you are really close to, and then there are other people that you are just kind of close to. There's people that you are in communication with on the daily basis, and there's people that you might only check once in, a month, or that might float by and you're like, oh, I like that, and I'll peep that out and like it or share it with my friends. So they have figured this part out, and they use that scoring method to understand how close you are to another individual that you might follow or friend on like, and not just in the individuals, but also for brands. So this is not separate for brands. There's not some different ranking for a brand than there are for individuals on Facebook. So they understand this, and they score their edge based, or edges based on this user affinity. So a case in point is that if I am following somebody and they are somebody I really interact with, so let's say I might follow a brand, or I might follow a person, and every day, man, they got something really good to say, and they're funny, and I share their stuff, and I like their stuff, and we go back and forth, and and I make comments on it, and they comment back. Facebook is watching that, and they realize and they understand that the more I interact with that person, the more they want to show me information from that person, because they know that I have a good interaction. That's part of my close inner circle. And the best example of this was the last presidential cycle. And if you think about it, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, once you started reading stories that were and liking stories and sharing stories that were based on your affinity for that political party, all of a sudden your timeline was filled with most of the stuff from that party. So if you're a Republican, you were only seeing mostly Republican posts in your timeline. If you're a Democrat, you were seeing Democratic stuff in your timeline. So that's how we've figured this part out, and we've proven that from that last cycle. All right? So how are these edges scored? All right? The deal is that things are ranked based on your action, right? So if I make an action on an item from somebody that's really close to me, if I like it or if I share it, that has a higher ranking than if the person that I shared it with shares it also. So I'm closer to that original poster based on my affinity with them than the person that is secondary and got it from my post. So the deal is, of course, your fan, if you're talking about your page for your business, an action by a person that is actually your fan has more weight than if their friend's action was taken on a post that you made. And if a friend of a friend's action, it goes lower and lower. That's how those things are ranked by user affinity. But also, it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. So there are brands that you might interact with often, but that brand never interacts with you. So the deal is, let's say you are competing with another brand and you both have the same fan. The likelihood of my post being shown in their timeline is increased by the fact that I might also interact with that person. The other brand never interacts with any of its friends, but I, in my wisdom now, because I understand the user affinity score, will go out to people that are my fans, and I will start liking some of their stuff. One of my favorite toilet hobbies, because we have to have hobbies when we're sitting on the toilet. Anyway, but really it is I will pull out my cell phone and I will go through and start liking content from other people that are fans of our brand and fans or friends on my page. Really, what I'm doing is I'm increasing the likelihood that my stuff, when I go out to post, gets seen by those people that are my friends or fans, because of the fact that I interact with them. and they interact back. Makes sense? So realize that the user affinity score is not just one way. It's not just about how much they interact with you, but it's also based on how much you interact with them. And then you realize that everybody's user affinity score is different. Everybody's score is different. Just because we're friends or you're a fan doesn't mean that our scores are weighted the same. I hope that's making sense. If not, we will be answering your questions at the end. All right? This is a great picture of Mitt Romney. This is Mitt and his family. And he takes this picture every year. This is his grandkids. You know, he's got a huge family. And he takes this picture every year. They dress the kids up, to look alike, and they spiff them all up, and they take a picture with Granddaddy. I think that's a great picture. The purpose and the point of the picture is that don't think just because you've got a big family and that you go out to your family every time that you post something and say, hey, please go like that for me, that Facebook doesn't understand that. Duh, they already know that because you filled out the family part. So they know exactly who your family is. So they're not overwhelmingly, saying, wow, this guy's got a lot of user affinity, and not realizing that everybody that you're doing that with has the same last name as you. So you're not fooling them by doing that. That's not a great strategy, folks. All right, so here we go. Number 2 is the weight. Each type of edge has a different weight to it, and this will make sense really, really fast. It's totally common sense, right? Based on our studies and the work that's been done, we realize and recognize that video has a greater ranking of weight than photos. And photos have a greater ranking of weight than text items when we're talking about edges inside of Facebook. However, you don't want to necessarily just go out and post a whole lot of videos. Why? Because you have to take into account your audience. There are some people that never watch videos. There are some people that never look at the photos. There are some people that only like to read text. There's other people that never read the text. So the deal is that there's all kinds of people and there's all kinds of ways to interact with people. So the best method is to mix it up and start finding out what gets the most responses. Once you find out what gets the most responses, you might want to increase some of that kind of content. So if you find out, I'm a big video guy. I know people really interact with videos when they see me do one. So I'll increase that, but I won't stop doing text and photos because there's an audience for that as well. So you're always testing this to see what's really resonating with people, but never get to the point where you're saying, okay, this is all I'm going to do, because there are other people that you're probably missing out on. There's some other low-hanging fruit. So mix it up, do a little bit of all of that, and you'll be able to really engage with that audience. But if you just take a look at this, videos, photos, text, you can see how they're ranking, and it makes sense that video is higher ranked than text simply because most times you're watching it, you're engaged with it, and it takes more time than it does maybe for a quick text version of a post. So that's one of the reasons why, because if you think about it, Facebook wants you on Facebook as long as possible. That's their end game. Get people on Facebook as long as possible, because the longer you're on there, the more opportunity they have to advertise. All right, here's the other kind of ranking of edges, that comments outrank likes. So that makes sense, right? I mean, if somebody likes your content, that's here, but if somebody makes a comment on your content, that's even greater. That's greater interaction. It takes them longer time. Like I said, what's the end game? It's time. And of course, it's very easy to click on a link to see more, do a see more. But if you like that, it's got more rank for weight than if you just click on it. So that should make sense to you about the highest ranking being comments, next highest likes, next highest getting clicks. But ultimately, what it is about is you want people to engage with your content. All right, it's not just enough for them to read it in the stream, but if at least they click to read more, that is going to give it more weight. All right? And the cherry on top, yay, is if they share it with somebody else. That has more ranking weight than anything else. So if you can get people to share stuff, that is a big boom for the weight score. And the weight score, of course, is the more people that share something, the more likely the people that follow you will see it in their timeline. And, Kat alluded to me losing a few pounds, and I'll give you an example. So I posted, if you go up to my, I'm John Lawson I'm Colder Ice on Facebook, facebook.com/Colder Ice. If you go out there, you'll see that my banner heading right now is a picture of my weight loss over the last few months. The deal is that picture has gotten like 90 something hits, likes from people just liking it. And I'm noticing that when that happens, when people start liking it, more and more people start liking it. Why? The reason why is because it's starting to show up in their timeline. And so I posted it yesterday, late last night, and people are still getting around to liking it. And the more they like it, the more it's going to be shown. That's how things kind of, quote, go viral in Facebook. All right? All right, the last one is time decay. And this is pretty, it makes sense, but it's not as linear as you think. All right? As an edge gets older, it becomes sort of old news to the news feed. However, that's not the only factor that Facebook is going to take into account. It's going to also check out how long it's been since you posted it, but also how long it's been since that person logged into their account. So if I've got a friend of mine that I follow all the time, and every day I'm interacting with them, and I don't log in for 6 hours, even though their post is 6 hours or more old, I will still see it in my timeline simply because it's taking into account, Facebook is taking into account my affinity with that person and the last time that I logged in. So it's going to show that to me even though it's been hours since I logged in, because it's recognizing I haven't seen that very popular content from that person that I really like seeing. That's why I'm saying about the photo that I posted last night is still starting to show up in other people's content this morning or this afternoon. All right? So it takes into account the frequency that people, or not the last time that they logged in, but also the frequency of how many times I log in. So if they know that I log in 5 times a day, well, they're not going to go as far back on the timeline of the person that for the post from the person and post it on my timeline if they realize that I'm in there multiple times a day. So that's another factor. But understand that everything we're talking about right now is still a black box. This has come from study and testing and testing and more testing. However, it's not like Facebook is giving you this keys to the kingdom. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom because I've done the research. However, they're not going to ever tell you what it is, and they're always tweaking it. They're always changing. Okay, so that is the edge rank. Real simple. The rank on how things are put into the timeline is based on user affinity, the weight of the action, and the decay of the edge. Boom. I know you probably are just like, wow, I got that. I got it. It's so easy. It's so simple. Cool. Fantastic. Now we talked about social media. How does that relate and translate into commerce? Well, that's a good question. And if you think about it, I mean, I've been to some of the coolest places on the planet, and I've been to some of the not coolest places on the planet. I'm talking third world country, kind of like, really? Is this how we're getting around? Is this the water we're going to drink? That kind of thing. However, no matter where you go, guys, there is always some sort of central marketplace. some sort of central marketplace. In every country you go to, in every city in America you go to, there is going to be a central marketplace. And if you think about it, commerce has always been social. You go to these central marketplaces, and it's not just the market, but you'll also have the coffee shop and the bookstore and the restaurant and the bar, because people like to convene in one area where they can shop, but also like to talk with other people and engage. So commerce has always been social. It's not something new. It's just that we have the tools now called social media that we can use to interact with our customers in the same way we would as if we were in that central marketplace. So here's a story for you, and it's a great example. This is Sarah Breedlove. And Sarah was orphaned at the age of 7. She was married off at the age of 14. She had her first child by the time she was 17, and then widowed by the time she was 20, and she was losing her hair. Yeah, I'm sure that would make a woman lose her hair. However, it's not really just that was making her lose her hair. She was of African-American descent, and I know you guys go out there and you see all of these lovely locks on these sisters out there, sisters, that's S-I-S-T-A-H, sisters out there, all right? And the deal is, for most of these sisters, that's not their hair. And even if it is their hair, that's not the way it naturally grows out of their scalp. We don't have the long, flowy lock. We are the kinky haired people, The afro is more close to representing the natural hairdo of an African American individual than the long flowing locks that you see these Beyoncés running around with today. However, what it is a chemical process that straightens hair. Many women do this. I mean, a lot of women have curly hair. They want it straightened. They're going to either do a chemical process or they're going to burn their hair. You take that big old iron, plaster it, boom, and you're burning your hair. All right? So these chemical processes, especially for the African American woman, is so ingrained in the culture of the African American woman that they say that by the time she is 40 years old, she will have spent more than $100,000 on hair products and processing. That's a lot of cash. It's a huge business, huge business, and you can't go to an African American area at all without seeing, a hair store on freaking every corner almost. It's ridiculous. But the deal is that process back in her day, Sarah's day, when she's like the 1917s, 1910s, 1917s, the process was really based in using lye, like that soap, that they put in soap. They used to use real strong lye to straighten their hair, and that was causing her hair to fall out. So she came up with a cream or an ointment for her scalp, and she mixed that ointment up in her bathtub and started packaging it, because as her hair started growing in and looking more and more healthy, other women started asking her, "What are you using? What are you doing?" She's like, "It's something I made up in my house." So she started mixing it up in her bathtub to make enough of it so that she would have it for her friends, her family, and all that. And this became a business for her. She started selling that product door to door. And of course, when you're doing door to door, you run into a problem. Some of us understand this problem. I mean, if you let's say you do product sourcing for like antiques or whatever. Well, if you want to scale that business, it's really hard to scale that business because you're only one person. And there's only so many doors that she could knock on or there's only so many Saturdays in the month, and there's so many, only so many garage sales you can hit on that Saturday. I mean, it puts a limit on how big your company can grow. And that's what she was running into. She was going door to door, and it was putting a limit on her ability to grow. So she came up with an idea. She said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do free demonstrations in that woman's house, and then have that woman ask her social network, her friends or family, to come over when I do the demonstration. And so I'll do the demonstration on her hair, give her the treatment one time for free, and then I could sell the product to all the other women that she had invited over. And she created this actual method for selling product. And that method today has been duplicated and copied by a myriad of other business ventures like, Avon. You remember the days of the Tupperware party? Today they're having sex toy parties, purse parties, pajama parties, all kind of stuff where you're coming over to somebody's house and they're selling you some of the products. They're showing you, they're demonstrating it. You have fun, and then you end up placing orders. But that actual business model was created by this woman, Sarah. And so how did she do that? She used her social network, and her social network back then were just other women. She didn't have Facebook and Twitter. How big would her company be if she had, these kind of things that we have available to us? All she had was word of mouth, However, she was not nominated. They Entrepreneur Magazine put out the top 100 entrepreneurs of all time, and she was in the top 10 because she was the first American self-made female, not black female. She was the first woman to be self-made millionaire in America. She's one of the greatest entrepreneurs our country has ever had, and most of us have never even heard of her. But of course, hey, I'm one of the greatest entrepreneurs ever. None of y'all heard of me. It's like, no, I'm teasing. Oh, I cracked myself up. But, I mean, by the time she passed away, like I said, this is 1917. By the time she passed away, she had employed more than 3,000 people. Like I said, she was the first female, and her thing has been copied by many others. And you have to understand that early 1900s, this is not the day of the post-Cosby show, post-black president. It was an uphill battle for her to be able to grow a company to this kind of level. And these are the kind of things that you and I can emulate, we can do if we don't have to worry about, the pressures that are on us from all of these other competitors and our platforms, and eBay is changing the rules on all that crap. If we actually have a direct connect to our social network, that can overcome any obstacle that is set in our path. So I know I'm going long, but I want to give you a few tactics, all right? I want to help you out. I want to make this something that you can actually do. So we're at 2 o'clock right now. I'm going to share a couple of these with you. Then we're just going to take some Q&A because we were a little bit late starting. But I still want to get these strategies out to you. We got to have this, all right? So here's some tactics for you. And just thinking about this, I want, okay, excuse the picture here, because that's your dirty mind. That's a lamp. That's a picture of a lamp. But when I took everything out and I just threw it in there to you, your perception was possibly something different than a lamp. And perception is everything. Perception is everything. This is why I'm saying that if you're only out there on your social network interacting with people by posting your content of buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, the perception of you is becoming very blurred. And we don't want that to happen. All right? So here is a chart for you. This is done by IBM, and the companies, or what they did is they asked consumers why they interact with brands on social networks, and that's on the left. And on the right, they ask business owners, why do they think customers interact with their brands on social network, and what kind of content do they want? And if you look at the disparaging numbers, I mean the gap between what we think as business owners that people want to hear from us versus what the customer wants to hear, it's totally different. So 61% of them say they're looking for discounts, while 55% of them say they're looking for purchase information, right? However, what we think our number one and number two is that they want to learn about our new products, and they want general information about our business or our products. So this is the stuff we're posting. However, on the other side, the stuff they're looking for is completely different. Perception, again, is everything. So how do you find out what is interesting to customers or just to the general public, you know? And this is something I like to use. I showed it to you earlier with the social commerce term, Google Trends. Google Trends, google.com/trends. Go out there. It's a fantastic tool. It will tell you at any given time what is trending by search on Google. But also you can put in your keywords and find out what kind of things people are looking for, finding interesting based on keywords that might be your brand or what you sell, the industry that you're in. Use Google Trends for that. Again, that's google.com/trends. Twitter has its own set of trends. If you look in the left-hand corner or the left side of the screen, you'll always see the top 10 trending on Twitter. What's cool now is that Twitter, if you look right next to where it says United States Trends right there, I'm pointing to it. If you look to the right, it says change. You can change where the trend are coming from now, what part of the geolocation trends are coming. So you can find trends based on your local area if you want to find it in your Atlanta, or if you have international. I sell to a lot of international places. I sell to Japan, so I can put in Japan and see what's trending over there. And then once I find things that are trending, I can start doing something I like to call newsjacking. And you can look that term up. I ain't make it up. It's newsjacking, and basically find a way to interact with your people based on what's going on and what's trending on these kind of trending topics. So that's one of the ways that I find those kind of things. Oh, this is just showing you how to change the location, so you can change it to other nearby locations. Sometimes when I'm in a local area, or I'm going to speak in a local area, and I want to tell people I'm over in that local area, I'll newsjack, tell them, something relative to their area based on what I find in trending topics. All right? Facebook trends. Facebook copied what Twitter had already done from the beginning, and now it's on side of the Facebook page, and it's on the right-hand side. If you look, you'll see trending, and if you just push that learn more or see more, you'll see all of the things that are trending on Twitter. The cool thing is that on all three of these platforms, Google, Twitter, Facebook, it's never the same thing that's trending. It's rarely the same thing. I mean, rarely. I'm not going to say it's never the same thing, but I'll say it's never the same 10 things, So each platform has its own set of what's going on, and that's just a testament to the different communities that a platform will have. This is from Amazon's search, or not search, but their Amazon Facebook page, and I like to watch the big players in the game and see what they're doing, because, hey, they're really successful. If you want to be successful, you follow success. That's the way I was brought up. So I'm always watching what Amazon's doing on Facebook. And recently we had the Oscars, and you see them doing newsjacking, so they posted the picture the day after the Oscar about these, people. It's like, what do you think about last night's Oscars? And if you see that like 4,000 or nearly 5,000 people liked it, it doesn't have the number of comments, but there was like 3,000 people that commented on it. And literally what they're doing here is they didn't just post this picture, they asked a question. And why did they ask that question? Well, they were asking the question to get people to make comments, because they understand that it's not enough just for people to get likes. If they really want deeper engagement, they get those comments, because comments have more weight affinity than just a like. So that is how they're using that, and it's really smart how they do these kind of things. And what ends up happening is it engages that audience, but it also makes it more likely again that the next content that they put up gets seen in the timeline based on, or not, the news feed, because of the fact that these people interacted and made comments on their last post. Really smart stuff. I like what the White House has done. And if you look at this, I think this is one of the best examples ever of a Facebook timeline page for a brand. Because first, all of the buttons are branded. You know you can do that with the buttons. You can change everything except for the first button, which is photos. All the other buttons you can brand. And you should. You should bring your brand all the way into your Facebook page. That is going to make people really recognize that you're not a fly-by-night kind of company. You know, you want to look bigger than you actually are. Get somebody to make you some professional-looking buttons. And I mean, when I say somebody to make them for you, I'm talking $5 on Fiverr. All right, and get those uploaded. People will do that for Fiverr. Just look that up for Facebook buttons. They'll make those for you and put that on there, and it really brands your page even deeper. And then the other thing is, look at that picture of the president. Of course, this is the White House page, but they're not going to just show you the front of the White House, boring, or him at some stupid news conference. What they're doing is they're affecting an emotion, and that's what you have to do, and one of the best ways to use that large hero image. That's what they call it. The hero image right there is him hugging children. That affects your emotion. That makes you feel something. Don't just have a picture of your product sitting there on a white background. Ooh, that's not affecting any emotion for me. How about that product and that lifestyle that it brings? You never see Coca-Cola just sitting on a table. You see somebody that's cool in cool clothing with an iPod hanging out of their ear and on their phone drinking a Coke while they're chilling at the beach. You know, I mean, it's always it's affecting an emotion. That's what you want to do with your brand, and you can use these hero images to make that kind of statement. The other thing is hashtagging. I mean, Instagram, we went to hashtag hell with it on Instagram. I know, it's crazy. Everybody puts all kind of things. But what Walmart has done with their hashtag of live better has been fantastic. And the cool thing about a hashtag is it's that it's searchable. And so you can take a hashtag, and once it gets put out there in social, you can start searching Google on that hashtag to see where it's going, who's using it, and it's a good way to effectually find your content based on a hashtag. And they've done fantastic. I love the way they're posting photos and then hashtagging right on top of the photo and making people feel like, hey, well, you know, I might repost that and use the hashtag live better. You know, cool. Like I said, here's an example of me taking that hashtag just like it is and putting it in there, and look what pops up. Walmart's timeline for Facebook, because that's where they've used it so much. Their Pinterest page, their Instagram photos. So get used to getting your hashtag, and just think about it. It's not hashtag Walmart, is it? No, it's hashtag live better. So come up with, you know, some of these, and it doesn't have to always be the same thing. A lot of times, I mean, like I'm watching Survivor now. Every time something funny comes up on Survivor, they'll put a hashtag in there so people can talk about it. You know, things like that. You know, play with this, but it's another way to follow conversations. Meme jacking. We just talked about news jacking. Now we're on to meme jacking, and that is a picture of Putin. Putin, the big evil Putin. We've glamorized him with the RuPaul Drag Race application. That's that's how you do that. You can take any picture and make it look stupid. So, but meme jacking is something that you see all the time. It's great for Facebook. And the deal is that you've seen these over and over and over again, and you're really like wondering, why do people post these? Why? Because they like it. This is fun. This is easy for them to share, and people want funny content to share. You could create your own memes, and you don't even have to use other photos. You can use the actual photos that everybody else is already using by simply going to memegenerator.net. That's where they come from, people. Yep. This is the factory where they're just pumping out memes all day long, and it's free. And I'm going to show you real quick how I did one. I was doing it on my iPad while I was at the MIVA conference because I was getting ready for my presentation. I wanted to put these slides in there. So you can pick the meme that you want. It'll remove all the content that's on it. Then it'll give you a caption area for you to write your own kind of caption. I wrote my comments in there, and boom, that was the outcome of what I made, and it took me all of 2 minutes. I just picked the photo, added my capture, pressed the button, boom, now I have a meme. I could take that meme and put it into Facebook or, or not even and Pinterest, Instagram, all of those kind of places, Twitter. And if you look right there at the bottom, the share buttons are right there for you. So it's that fast, that easy. One thing I will say is that if you are doing this for Facebook, copying it and sharing it is better than just pushing that Facebook share button. Because if you push the Facebook share button, if you look at that little thing on the right, that's how it renders inside of your timeline. But if you copy it and post it as a picture or a photo, then you get the full-size image, and I like that a little bit better. But either way, you're still putting out cool memes that people will share. All right? So that is probably where we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this right now because I want to get to your questions. But one last thing is that there's this little tool called Bitly, B-I-T-L-Y, and if you just go to bit.ly, that's Bitly. And what you can do with Bitly is you can create your own URLs so that it has your own branding on it. So it'll be bit.ly.com/your brand name or bit.ly.com/whatever you want. But the cool thing is that not only are you able to make a Bitly link that's unique, you can also track all of the traffic that comes from that Bitly link. So you can make a Bitly link /your brand Twitter /your brand Facebook. You see what I'm saying? And then you can see, hey, when I post stuff with this Bitly link on this network, it's getting this much traffic. On this one, it's getting less traffic. So that's a great tool. And the reason why I bring that up is simply because, let me go past that. I've got a Bitly link here, boom, for this book that I've just shared a lot of the Facebook content out of for you. But it's on a Bitly link. It's bit.ly/kickasssocialbook. And if you go to that link right now, it's out there on YouTube, not YouTube, I'm sorry, eBay. I will actually sign it and personalize it for you. And it's only $15, free shipping, and proceeds from that go to the Children's Hospital. So I'm donating part of the proceeds to that. Like I said, it's $15. It's the best $15 you ever spent. Anybody on this call, I'll guarantee. Look, if you don't like it, if you don't find $15 worth of content that will make you $15, I'll buy the damn book back. That's how I'm telling you. It's something that I've wrote, something that I made. And I made it simply because I do think there's a voice out there that hasn't been heard from in the e-commerce space, and this is made specifically for you and I in that space. So get a signed copy there. The other thing is, man, I've been going for an hour. I got to tell you about stuff that's going on. In May 16th and 17th, I'm going to be doing a full 2-day workshop. I've never done a workshop before. Never done a workshop. Well, I've done them in Australia. I've never done them here in the U.S. And I'm going to give 2 days. I'm going to walk you through it all. I'm going to walk you through everything from the e-commerce side, the marketing side, how to set up your blogs, how to get conversions on your page. I'm giving out the whole freaking, it's a brain dump, and it's going to be really fantastic. If you want more information on that, just go to ebizevents.com, and you can check that out. And free for you is the e-commerce group on Facebook. Just look up the e-commerce group on Facebook. Right now there's about 2,800 of us, and we just talk all the time. And basically, I'm done talking. So it's your turn. If you've got a question, I think we've got people that are going to help me with the question part, right?
Yep. That'd be me.
That would be you.
That would be me.
All right.
Okay. So one of the very first questions that came in before you even started your presentation was that this person has always been afraid to sell via social media, and is it safe?
What are they afraid of?
That was the question.
Well,
I think they're afraid of being, it could be that they're afraid of being out there. You know, some people tend to be private, and you do hear about a lot of the bad things that happen with, you know.
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't sell on social media. This is commerce. Commerce, it's really about engaging with the audience, and you sell where you sell. Social media is not a great place to sell. Why? Just because of the reasons you talked about. People don't trust it, all right? But you've got a Facebook page that you point to your store, because the store experience is where people feel comfortable. What you're trying to do is get them to come to the store, all right? It's not the same as doing transactions on the Facebook or on Twitter. You don't want to do that. We're not at that point yet. I think somewhere down the line we'll see that. There was a movement at the beginning about Facebook stores. There's still a couple of people out there that say that you can create a Facebook stores, but in general, people are not trying to put their credit card on Facebook. We know about putting our credit card on, eBay, Amazon, our web stores. That's where you want to drive them to. So this is a way to engage them and drive the traffic so that they can get the full experience of a store where they feel secure.
Okay.
Good question.
It is. The next question, Shar wants to know who did your avatar because she loves it.
That's fantastic. The guy is not around right now, and he does it every once in a blue. And if you're a member of the Facebook group, the next time he puts out that he's doing them, I'll let you know. And what's really funny about this avatar is I made this avatar nearly 2 years ago, somewhere in there, and people laughed at me, because the guy that was in the avatar was not the guy that you would see, the big fat guy. What they didn't understand is I had in my mind, that was my vision of who I wanted to be. So it was really, I took liberties. So you can make your avatar into anything you want. Look, he doesn't have any gray in his beard and no wrinkles. All right.
Of course, you made him a couple of years ago. You didn't have gray in your beard that much then either.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yes, sir. Okay. So then the next question is, interacting with people on Facebook. How do we turn those people into a customer?
It's in the book.
Okay.
And the reason why I said I know people like, that's funny. But you know what? That is way too. Look, I wouldn't have to write 240 pages if I could tell you that in 5 minutes on the back end of an hour webinar. I can't tell you that because there's so many things that go in. It depends on what you sell, what your customer does, where they hang out, blah, 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 blah. It's not complicated, but there are factors that you have to understand. So this is why I say it's in the book. Spend the $15. If you don't like the book, if you can't read, I'll buy it back. I'll buy it back. It's like,
no.
The
bottom line is you have to do your homework.
Yeah. It's just the deal is that you got to understand that customer. To turn me into a buyer, we have to have a relationship. People buy unless I'm already out looking for it. Now that's a whole nother story. If I'm already out looking for it, then you can just place an ad somewhere. They'll see the ad and they'll buy it. But other than that, people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And once you get that, once you get people to know, like, and trust you, then they will buy from you. That's why I don't even tell you about buying the book until after I've talked to you for an hour. Now you know me, like me, and trust me. You get it? So there you go. If you want the short answer, get them to know, like, and trust you.
Okay. And one of the in the very beginning, when you were doing all those stats about percentages and things, was that worldwide or was that just the United States? This was a person from Australia.
Yeah, that is worldwide. We talked about the stats, and then 747 billion is worldwide as well. But some of the stats about how many people log in came from the U.S. But
Okay.
I mean, that's a good measurement, pretty much for all kind of stats. But I mean, Australia, we could probably pull some unique stats for Australia.
Okay. So then the other question was.
Oh, hey, wait, just one more thing. Australia. I will be bringing unique stats when I come to Australia in May for the PISA conference.
Got that. Okay, back to the questions. There's a person who's doing a lot on Pinterest because he was told to use Pinterest. And one of the questions he says is there tools to track actual conversions, because he's trying to find out his ROI with using social commerce. Are there tools to track the actual conversion of likes and followers to sales?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, your conversion to sales is going to be inside of your store. You know, that's the only place you're going to track all the way into the cart is going to be in your store. What I gave you in the presentation was the Bitly link. That will give you a good idea of tracking for how many people will click on your item from that actual picture inside of Pinterest. So instead of using the full URL, for it, you can use that small Bitly link, and then you can always see how many people do that. And that'll give you an idea, because once you know how many people came, then you can look inside of your store and see how many people buy, and then you'll get the ROI.
Now, Jennifer was saying that Pinterest does not accept Bitly links. She tried it once.
Oh, I don't know. Can't help you. I mean, you have to check it.
Test it.
I'm not a Bitly big boy. But, of course, you can always buy your own URLs, all right? So, I mean, you can have URLs that redirect to any page you want. So you can have, like, Pinterest, let's say, just taking it off of, like, if I wanted kick-ass, I can't use Pinterest. Don't use the word Pinterest in it, I could say, John's Pen 1, John's Pen 2, John's Pen 3, buy those URLs, and then I can always redirect them. That's a way to get around it if they don't take Bitly shortened URL links.
Yeah, Catherine, a URL is a domain name that you would get from.
See, that's the thing. I don't want to get too deep into this because it's a technical thing. There's a lot of ways to do it, but if they don't take Bitly links, that makes it harder.
Okay. And this is just a question just from the conversations that were going on. So is there a platform you suggest starting on when you're just starting your marketing through social
Facebook.
commerce? Okay.
That was the reason why I picked Facebook, because the deal is with Facebook is there's so many people out there. It's like fishing in the ocean versus fishing in a lake. And the thing is, when you fish in the ocean, you get those big ass swordfish, but you fish in a pond, you're going to get a nice little minnow. So that's why I say try it out there. Once you master that, then you can move to the smaller platforms. Or vice versa. I mean, again, this is one of the concepts we bring to light in the book. First, we find the audience. Before we get started, you find the audience, and that's something that's the whole first portion of the book is really about how you find the audience that you want to market to.
Exactly. Okay, so does your point about interacting with your followers to improve the visibility on that platform, does that apply across the board to Pinterest? And do you know if eBay search rewards us for liking or following sellers or items within eBay?
I have no idea on the eBay part. I doubt it. I really kind of doubt it. Although they might have an interest or eBay just moves their stuff around so much that I don't even want to talk about it because I don't know. But one of the things that I do want you to understand is that what I've given you is not just a formula. It's a principle. It's a simple principle. And when we talk about friends sharing other items with other friends, is that if you interact with somebody and they know, like, and trust you, they are more likely to share it with their friends in general. So no matter what platform you're on, it's going to get shared more when you do the right things for engagement for those people, for those platforms.
Okay.
Did I answer that question?
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, eBay, just like conversion rate, I don't think you're ever going to find that out from eBay, from the platforms.
Well, the thing is that eBay is not they've removed a lot of the social parts of that platform, and I don't think they're spending a lot of time on that. They're really about sales. The more you sell, the more you get shown. That's one of the things they're into.
Yeah. Okay. Another question was for somebody. She was asking if she should be starting to put some of her listings on Pinterest.
You can, but if it ain't working on Facebook, it probably won't work on Pinterest either. One of the things I used to tell people is stop being a nobody everywhere. That just because you're everywhere and you're still a nobody, you're still a nobody. Get it right. Dominate somewhere first and then spread, because all you're going to do is just waste more of your time. And who wants to waste time? Spend your time and get it right first and then go out. I remember when all these other e-commerce platforms started popping up. And then everybody was like, well, I'm not doing very well on eBay, so I might as well start putting my stuff on these 10 other platforms. Well, you just spent 10 times more of your time, and you ended up selling one more thing. Was it worth it? Probably not. You'd have been better spent trying to master your plan for that first platform, eBay. eBay is huge. I don't know anybody that's dominating eBay so much that they have to move to another platform. I just don't know anybody like that. Well, I do know one person. I do. But the thing is, you have to think about it. Look, man, we are a small fish in a huge pond. It's about narrowing it down, finding it, mastering it, and then spreading. Master, then spread. Don't do it the other way around, because the more you spread, the less you'll master. You'll be a jack of all trades, master of none, and that's never what you want to be in business.
Yeah, I think I've heard this lecture before, haven't I, John?
Yes, I keep telling you that sometimes.
I listen sometimes. Okay. The next question is, you said we should interact with the folks who like our Facebook page, but how can we do that without making them all friends?
Well, if they don't have to be your friends. If they're your followers or fans, then they're already your fans.
I think they're mixing up business pages with personal pages.
Right. So the deal is when you have a business page and you've created that business page, then you can interact with them as your business page. There's a little setting at the top when you log into your business page on Facebook where it says you can use Facebook as this page. And once you do that, you flip from being that personal person to the page itself. And so when you like a comment, you're liking it as the page, and they'll see that, your brand liked their comment. So that's the way you want to do that.
Okay. Next question. We have just a couple more. Some people thank you for supporting St. Jude's with the portion of your book sales.
Yay, St. Jude's. Thank you. That's so cool. St. Jude is cool. But anyway.
It is. Okay, next question. Do you run ads on Facebook? If so, do you prefer newsfeed ads or sidebar ads?
I like newsfeed ads better because, it's almost like this. It's like Google. I use like a Google strategy. And what I mean by that is that in the Google, a natural search, when you float to the top on natural, you'll be on the left-hand side, you'll be large. You'll be the first result. That is the best converting result. But I like to also supplement that with the right side paid advertising. Same way with Facebook is I believe the timeline ads are better, but also when it comes to retargeting, having the right side ad really helps. So you understand what retargeting is, meaning that even if they don't interact the first time they see it on the timeline, you're in the right column so that they might interact with you later.
Okay. One of the other questions is, do you run into any copyright issues with creating memes?
No, you
Okay.
don't. No.
Okay.
I've never run into any, and you know, we're past the world of copyright. We are so past it. Matter of fact, if you're still worried about somebody copying your pictures on your web page, it's such an old thing. I mean, even the press has given that up. It's just no way you can do it anymore.
Well, I know.
Chasing that is old.
I know one of even the stock photography sites is starting to let it free for social parts. I can't remember which one.
Because what their understanding is that people are going to do it anyway. You might as well get credit for it. So, no, I run into zero.
Okay. With relationship to a meme, is that something you would post on your Facebook store your business page?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't post anything that was, vulgar. I'd save that for my homepage. but no, absolutely. I mean, people interact with that on all those kind of pages. I've used. I don't know if you ever seen one of my favorite ones, and I've used this over and over. Is that there's like these dancing African children, and they're just dancing in the middle of the street somewhere. And I've posted that, and like when I'm going to be in a city, I was like, John's coming to, Las Vegas, and I'll post that, and I'll say, here's the URL, and I'll post that. So you can find unique ways. Like I said, this is clay, so mold it and use it the way you want to.
All right. And the last question I see so far, but whenever I say that, it always opens a new floodgate.
There's one more. Yeah. There's one more question.
Yeah. What do you think about Google Plus?
I think Google. You know what? I made a video about this, and I think Google Plus is extremely important. And the reason why I think it's important is not because of the audience of the 347 million users that they have registered for the platform, but there's one user of that platform that is an elephant in the game, and that's Google. So if for nothing else, you should go out there and establish your brand on that page simply because Google looks at that page. So if you got a brand, you should at least go out there and sign that brand and create a page for it on Google Plus, so that when people search Google regular for your brand name, your Plus page will come up in the right column. Again, that's reinforcing your professionalism. Every time somebody sees that brand, they understand, instinctively that you're not just some fly-by-night kind of, wannabe. They think, hey, these guys are really established. So you should establish yourself on all the platforms, and the last reason why you should do that is to protect your name. You want to be the first one with your name on that platform, not somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know as soon as anything opens up, when they first open the business pages, first thing I do is I go over and get it.
I know.
It's okay. So anything else you want to say? Because
can you still see my screen?
I can still see your screen.
Okay. Cool. Let me see. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to tell y'all this story.
Hey, John.
This is a good story. Yes.
After the story, they're asking if you could show the slide that has the Facebook group address on it.
Facebook group. Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay. So here's the story, guys. I was in my backyard. I got this pool out there, and it's not a blow-up pool. We actually had to dig a hole for it. So I mean, it's a real pool. It's got water in it and everything. And then so I had planted some trees out there the year before. And when I was, and they're peach trees because I live in Georgia, and that's the peach state. And so I'm in the pool one day, this was last spring, So I'm ready for it this year. And I see the peaches, and they're starting to have little nodules. And I'm like, wow, look at that. The peaches, they're coming, they're coming along. Matter of fact, there were so many peaches on some of the branches that I had to pull some of them off because it was like trying to weigh the branch down. I was like, man, I can't wait till I get these great peaches. However, the next week I go out there, I'm looking, and I look at those peaches, and I see, and I'm like, dude, those peaches are ready. They're right at the point, man. They're starting to get that nice color. The fuzz is on them. I mean, it's ready. And I'm sitting in the pool, and I'm being lazy. I got a drink. I'm kicking back. I'm like, man, I should get those peaches. I got another drink, and I was like, screw the peaches. I'll get them tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's what they were looking at. That's the actual peaches. I'm like, dude, they're ready. Unfortunately, I didn't go and pick the peaches. I waited till the next day. Next day, I come out. Got my little bucket in hand. I'm ready to pick my peaches. And I look up in the tree, and I see this. I see the super squirrel. And the super squirrel got a couple of his friends, and they are in my tree. And the only thing I see in the damn tree is the squirrels. All of my peaches are now gone. I see squirrels, I see tree, and I see a bunch of big peach seeds on the ground. And that was the day that I realized, man, that opportunity is not stolen. They didn't steal my peaches. I didn't take the opportunity that I had the day before, just the day before, to get those peaches. So understand that opportunity is never stolen. It is always taken. You have to take your opportunity to lead in this field right now, and those tools are out there for you. So go after it, man. Go after it. All right. The Facebook group, the ecommercegroup.org, or you can just go to Facebook and search for e-commerce group inside of the Facebook search, and it's right there. I'm right there. I'm there. Yay.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce, baby.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Okay, guys, don't forget we have a Facebook group for Top Rated Seller webinars on Facebook also. We'd love to have you there, and make sure you're on our newsletter so you don't miss the next webinar. John, thank you for your time.